Boom, boom, boom. We're on. Righto. Today we have a legend on the podcast. We've been looking forward to this one. Barney Miller, world champion, adaptive surfing. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks, mate.
What's been happening? You've been up for, I believe you were nominated for Surfer of the Year.
Yeah. I was actually pretty stoked to be nominated in the Surfing Australia Awards for Male Surfer of the Year, and just wanted to come up and celebrate, and just the guys that were in my category was Owen Wilson and Julian. Oh no, Owen Wilson.
Owen Wright, Julian Wilson.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Cut him back.
There's no cuts in podcast, bro. We just run it.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't Owen Wilson. He's an actor, but so it was Owen Wright and Julian Wilson. So yeah, just being recognised in the same category as them two was just an honour for sure.
They can both surf pretty good, eh?
They can rip. Yeah, they can do pretty well, eh?
Did you ever, growing up, I'll smooth that up a tiny bit. When you were growing up, did you ever think that one day you would be nominated for Australian Surfer of the Year?
Nah.
That was probably a full pipe dream sort of thing in your life, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was that, and to be nominated for something like that with the people who are at the top of the game right now, and also just, I'm probably skipping ahead, but to be given an opportunity to go for a world title was pretty amazing as well. And
yep,
that's something you dream of as a kid. Like growing up, you want to be a world champ, and though the circumstances were different and it wasn't the surfing that I was doing back in the day, a world title is a world title, and I'm taking it. And
honestly, the road to your world title is harder than the road to any world title is hard. Mick's got 3 of them. They don't come easy. No. And for Kelly to have 11, that's obviously super hard to do. But for the way that you had to win a world title, when you have an accident and you lose, essentially you lose your limbs. Yeah. That you could go through an enormous list that would cut you out of, okay, this is the shit you won't be world champion at. Yeah. And surfing would be on the top of that list.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got told that I would never breathe by myself. I'd be on a ventilator for the rest of my life. I'd never regain movement in my right arm, or never ever walk again. And slowly I'm just chipping away at that. And along the way, I just decided to take up competitive surfing, just to have a crack and just sort of bring out the inner mongrel that I used to have as a kid. And it's just ignited something crazy in not only in my competitiveness with surfing, but in my training, my whole training regime, and just learning to walk again. Yeah, it has just gone to the next level as well. Yeah, and
I think that's probably a good lesson for just people in general life, right? Is if you're going to the gym, my mum right now is she's trying to get fit and train, but I'm you need something to train for. When you have something to train for, all of a sudden there's something in our mentality that's go time. Yeah, and I'm the same. I do these random dumb things every year, I do a 6-hour endurance race on a motocross bike. I fucking suck. You know what I mean? But it's having that little carrot.
Yeah.
So and for you, what you'd be up against, this might sound ridiculous, but when you get a dead arm in the morning and you fall asleep, and then you go to the toilet, and then you're trying to do anything with an arm that's just asleep for a couple of minutes, you just sit there and you're this is the worst feeling ever, and you're looking at your arm I can't use this. So for you to that's a reality, you know what I mean? Yeah. You're trying to, every day of your life, you're dealt with something that to me is in a stupid way. It's it's super uncomfortable. I'll avoid that at all costs. You know what I mean?
Well, I've got a funny story about having a dead arm. Actually, it was only not long ago. I fell asleep, and so I had my arm around Kate, and she was I had the bed slightly higher than hers, so I had my arm in
You got one of those fancy beds, do you?
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. It's nice and soft, but yeah. So I had my arm inverted for a while, and then I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't move my arm. I just had lost everything to it, and I was it was swinging around. I'm what the what the fuck has happened? Like, what's wrong with my fucking arm? Like, and I'm swinging it around, and I'm like, Kate, can you check? I thought I might have like dislocated like in my arm or something, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's coming back now. I'm like, holy shit, that was the scariest thing I think I've ever freaking dealt with.
But like, so I guess like, it was a weird analogy, but like for me, like I'm not going to go to the gym. Like if I've got a dead arm, I'm like, oh, well, I can't train. And it's just one thing. Yeah. But like for what you've dealt with on an every single day basis, like you literally have to go into the gym with that discomfort.
Exactly.
So I guess having something to train for, like a world championship, like you're given an opportunity to be the best in the world at something, like,
and definitely like, and also like training to stop that numbness, like it's like to just get the body moving, get the blood flowing, and just to regain feeling. That's what something that's come along the way as well, which is just getting everything, not only movement but also sensation in the body, which is something that I got told would never happen as well.
What's the I guess your life took obviously like a huge turn, right? Like you never would have wanted this to happen. Nobody would ever want this to happen. Like that's a full given.
Yeah.
But is there some solace now? Like I've been reading some books and they talk about like it's more important as a human being to have meaning in your life than happiness. Like, because if you said to me like, oh, what's going to make you happy? I'd be like, oh, if I could get a house and I could get this and everything was just taken care. Like they're sort of these superficial things that you think would give you happiness, but say you get all of those things, like there's not really meaning in those things.
And what's next? Yeah.
So for you, this happened and it sucks. But does that then give you this hidden meaning of like you've got a life's purpose now? Because like you've impacted my life positively. Like I've been a fan of like since I first saw you with Mick, I was just like, get fucked. Like that is so rad. And I until a couple of weeks ago I didn't know you at all.
Yeah.
And it's so like you've served as an inspiration for me. I mean, I'm sure that anyone that has like a spinal injury or is trying to overcome any kind of injury, you're a beacon of hope and a beacon of light. So it's like almost, is there some solace? Obviously that was the worst case scenario is what happened, but now you've been given this meaning that has to be fulfilling in a way to know that you can help people in just by being you. You know what I mean?
No, I agree, and like I don't sit around thinking, oh, woe is me and all that sort of shit. Like I could waste all my energy in doing that sort of shit, being angry at the driver and whatever. But this life that I've had since the accident is probably a life that I don't think I would have had. Like the people I've met, the things I've found in myself, like the things that I've conquered, the things I'm still conquering. Like I don't regret anything or feel bad for anything or even just sort of just want to be the victim in any way. It's like, and now that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and I'm going to get back to where I was, so everything's just so much more sweeter, and as I conquer things more, it's just way better.
Yeah, and it's almost like the stuff that we take for granted every single day. Like, do you think that's a general part of happiness, is being able to appreciate little things?
Yeah, definitely. It's appreciating everything and being grateful for everything, and just realizing no matter what situation you're in, it may suck or you whatever, like it's not going to last forever, and there's always a silver lining to whatever bad things happen. Yeah. And one thing that I've really learned off Mick as well is turning a tragedy into a triumph, and he is the king at that. Yeah. Like the shit that he's been through, and just and to come out and achieve what he's achieved, and just and dominate. Like it's I really look up to him, and he's such a massive like role model for me.
It's crazy. I was thinking about last night, we watched your doco, and I was thinking like you and Mick got on instantly from how it's portrayed, and even from what I've been told, and you know what I mean, like you guys just instantly thick as thieves. Yeah. Do you think that comes out of how much suffering that you two have been through and are still dealing with, and it's almost like it's hard to relate to people that haven't been through what you've been through, and here you are, you're both surfers at the core, and it doesn't matter what level. I guess you're equals now. Well, you got two more world titles. Yeah, you got two more, and then you can say you're equals.
Mate, I got to win a few more comps as well. So yeah.
But yeah, you sort of had that bond of that going through the pain that not a lot of people know.
Definitely, I think, I hope that's sort of how he sort of feels as well. And but yeah, I think it was just we just related and got on so quick, and because I think we were just so upfront, and I told him the reason told him so many things about I want to walk again and I want to do all this sort of stuff. That's the first bridge to go across, is knowing what you want out of life and just saying that you want to get something. And after I said that to Mick, and Mick's like, all right, I'll introduce you, like, I know, like, if you're serious about this, I'll introduce you to all these people that I'm working with. And and that's when it just led to more and more and more, and that's sort of what our whole, mine and Kada's life is right now, is just saying what we want to get in life and telling everyone our dreams, making ourselves accountable for what we want to do in life. And that's just that's just how we've just become to achieve so many good things. Yeah,
I massively believe in that. Like, I say, even with like people I want to get on the podcast, like I just fully put it out there, and it's like I've got no connection to it at all. Right. But like, perfect example was we were talking about getting Daniel Ricciardo on here, because I do heaps of work for Red Bull. Yeah. And the guys at Red Bull are just like, you have to get Ricciardo on there. You and him would just be classic. And I was like, well, I'm a massive fan. Like, obviously, if Ricciardo wanted to be on the podcast, he could. Yeah. And then we're sort of saying like, I was like, you know who would be sick to get on the podcast is Parkway Drive. And I was like, I know he's a massive fan of them, but I'm a fan of them. Like, that'd be a really cool podcast. And I'm sure like that would just grab attention, because it's all, I guess it's like you get that follow on. The next day, man, the very next day, I'm down in Byron and I was having breakfast with a mate of mine, Frankie Kimpton. He owns Birds of Condor, the golf brand. Okay. So we're having breakfast, and then he's like, oh yeah, Ben from Parkway Drive owns this cafe. Bullshit. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And in my head, I was like, it's kind of random. And then I was like, I sort of want to get him on the podcast. He's like, I'll reach out.
No
But
way.
it's like the universe has a funny way of delivering on the things. If you want something for the right reason, and you sort of throw it out there, it has the ability to come back.
Oh, mate, we are massive believers, and that's what we do. Like, it's just manifesting is just something that, it's not coincidence anymore when you're doing these things. Like the crazy things that we've thrown out, myself and Kada, and how it all's just worked out and seems to happen is just like, happens too often to be a coincidence these days. Yeah,
I'm a huge believer in that. And I think that there's a thing where if you internalize stuff and you never say it, like you say you never want to walk again, because there is a problem, and I think that people do this in like everyday life, right? So if you throw it out there, there's two ways it can go. You can put yourself out there and you can never get it, and then you can feel judged and you can judge yourself, and there's negative repercussions of that. But on the flip side, it could happen. But if you never put it out there, you're sort of protected from that negativity. Exactly. So it's almost like you've really got to be prepared to go out on a limb and say, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And like if you actually have a crack at it, say you don't get all the way there. Yeah. If you give it a go, like you're going to get closer than what you were if you stayed at zero.
And like that's one thing that my mum always taught me was she would just say, just shoot for the moon. Like, because if you don't get there, you're still going to be among the stars. Like that's just a crazy thing. But that's the thing, it happens. Like, it happens more often than not. Like, and you've got, and I think holding yourself, the accountability of when you tell someone, you do everything in your power to do that, achieve that, and that's what one thing that, like when we were making the movie, man, I threw out some crazy shit to the filmmakers, like saying I want to stand at the wedding on the altar, and I want to have our first dance. I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do that, but like, but I was like, well, I'm just going to work my ass off and
just have a crack.
Yeah, have a crack, and it all worked out. And like I think, I just once you put it out there, you don't you. It's funny how your body or the universe or whatever like will kick in and make sure that it happens.
And even with me, one of the things I'm enjoying about the podcast is that now there's a lot of people listening to it that are complete strangers. At the start, it was sort of just my mates, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool, you got to do that and this," and like it was with my friends. But now it's like with people like we'd only just met this morning. Like obviously we've been talking for a couple months or whatever, but it's like, if I say something now, like people are gonna hear it, they're gonna listen to it, and then if I talk shit, basically, then like I'm accountable now to like an audience of people that I don't know. And it's like, you don't want to be one of those dudes that just talk shit and doesn't back it up. So it's like, it's cool to be that, like, it's honestly helped me to be accountable to just like people I don't even know. I'm just like freaking out like, fuck, I better back it up.
No, that's sick. Like, it's just, oh mate, like but that's the thing, everyone loves a good shit talk, like, so I think you're pretty sweet, mate.
Yeah, that's true. How did it come about, meeting Mick? So you're at J-Bay.
Yeah, we're at J-Bay.
So people obviously took your surfing seriously to get you to J-Bay, or were you there, like you flew yourself there, or how did it even?
Yeah, we went over there. So that was one of the first events. No, it wasn't actually. It was, one of the first events I went to was probably in actually in Hawaii the year before. But that was when I sort of, I don't know. I'm getting confused in my own shit now.
Well, you've just been doing so much, mate.
I know.
Do you get that where you forget like stuff that you've done? All the time?
Yeah, and people bring something up and I'm like, I can't remember doing that. But but we've got, I think, I met Mick, and then I decided that we were going to go to Jeffreys Bay and so we just got chatting at Jeffreys Bay, and he sort of said, "Oh, you're right." Like, I was sort of sitting back with me and a mate just went over, and then he goes, "Oh, do you want to come and sort of come into the surface area, and you'll be able to see better." And then we just got chatting, and he'd been knocked out of the event, so he's like, "What are you up to later? We're just going to go have a few drinks." And so we went and had a few drinks, and one.
You met Eugene.
Yeah. I met him, and it was pretty. Oh man, it was a wild night. Like, I don't know, we don't really remember what happened, but but there we just got chatting about surfing, and he goes, "If you're serious to go surfing, like, I can hook you up with wetsuits, with rip curl and whatever." And then that was another thing. I was like, well, shit, I guess
now I'm a surfer
now I've got to be surfer. Yeah, I've got to surf, and Mick's going to get me some wetsuits and stuff, so I got no excuse. So that was just where it led to, and just had to start.
That's pretty rad, like that, because you've got a guy that could be too busy. He could be, he could have too much on. He could be pissed he got knocked out of the event. You know, like that sort of says a lot about a guy's character.
Oh mate, it was crazy. So, and then it's just snowballed from there, and the opportunities that he's let me with Rip Curl now supporting me, and it's just been a crazy sort of fun time with just in the whole surf industry back again. So
it's definitely cool, and I think that, I guess it just says a lot about your character in general, that people are willing to just let you be you, and then that's enough to like people get value out of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure Rip Curl's not like betting or like, you know what I mean, like if you win the world, it's like win or nothing with the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, they just they're such a amazing family, and that's one thing. Like after we went to J-Bay and we ended up going Hawaii and stuff, and that's when I met all the sort of the owners of Rip Curl and all stuff like that, and they're like a family. It's like a pretty awesome like company to be involved in, and now just the support and the opportunities that they give me right now, and I'm just so thankful for.
What so obviously you've just got the book coming out, so I think we're gonna release that. So we'll release this around the time you release that.
Cool.
What was the process, or I guess how did it even start to where you? So did a publisher come towards you and say, like, do you want to write a book for us?
It was actually 12 months exactly. Like we won, you and me won Movie of the Year for Australian Surfing, Surfing Australia Awards. and we did our speech, and then after it, these two ladies came up and they started talking, saying, "Hi, we're from Hachette Publishing, and we haven't seen your movie, but from your speech, like, we're just wondering if you'd thought about doing a book." And we're like, "Yeah, well, we have." And then that's where it started, and then 12 months later, the book went to, almost to the day, 12 months later, it went to publish. So
really,
and then last night, they were there last night as well at the thing, and we were just chatting about how amazing it was that 12 months ago, how much has happened, and so now there's a book coming out, and Kada and my life. So
that's so crazy that in it 12-month turnaround too. Was that daunting, or did they put a timeline on the 12-month thing, or
we
it just
only had
worked
6
out?
months actually. So by the time we'd sort out all the stuff, but that was the whole process in the writing. Like,
yeah, you guys said that was harder than the film.
It was way harder than the film. Just like, I'm not a very good words person, so I'm pretty stoked to have Kada in my life, who's a songwriter. So she can she's a wordsmith, so she can turn my muddled up shit into sound amazing, which is kind of cool. And and so it was a cool process. And what happened was we had to go back into dark times, so we did procrastinate a lot. Like
that, I bet it was super heavy. Like, it's heavy as someone that, like, not involved in the situation, to watch the film. Like, me and Rick both had like tears in our eyes last night. Like, when you proposed, that was like one of your goals. You said like you weren't going to propose, so you got down on one knee, and I was just like, fuck, I'm out, turn it off, I'm fucking done, I'm out, this is too much. So I mean, it's heavy just watching the film that we have nothing to do with. Like, this is actually your life. Like, going, and I was even thinking, like, the start of the film where you're talking about the first time you saw your mum.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, fuck talking about this. Like, and then I, obviously knowing that we were doing the podcast today, I was like, man, this sucks. Like, I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, it must get old just constantly talking about dark times. But then I guess to justify that, does it circle back that people get help from this, you know?
And it's real. Like, it's real shit that people go through every day. And that was one of the reasons why we did the movie, and deciding to do the movie. It was either we go 100% in and tell everything, or we do nothing. And because we don't want to sugarcoat anything or say that we've had such a wonderful life with no ups and downs. Like, people see through the bullshit, and to have it raw, and people relate to that. But now with the book, it's
just deeper and darker again.
We had to delve so much, dive in so much darker, and it's but it was like therapeutic. So it was like we were counselling ourselves, because we both had to go through the dark times that when we weren't together. Like, before we'd met, those dark times, we had to both live them individually, but we lived it together. And so that's what was really cool, living our stories together. And
well, I think that's what was cool about the movie in a way, is because I feel like for Kada to put out the events that happened in her life, like, she could have easily not done that. Like, your story on its own, if you like didn't want to, for her to dig up the things that obviously would be, you know, like emotional and hard to talk about. So I think that was even cool to see that it was, but the accumulation of things that kind of, because that almost, in a way, it seems like that those dark times brought you guys together. Similar, I guess, to maybe you and Mick. Like, when you have someone that has been through those dark times, you can relate to dark times, I guess, you know.
Definitely. And so, because originally it was only going to be my movie, and then a couple of young filmmakers, Lorenzo and Taylor, they were from New York, and they started filming, and they were just filming everything about me. And then we brought them to Australia, and they just started meeting people like Mick and everyone. They're like, well, firstly, it was going to be a 15-minute
like a little short
show, and then they started meeting all the people at the Quicksilver Pro, and they're like, shit, we can't fit your life into 15 minutes, so we'll do a movie. And but then it got deeper than that, and then I introduced Taylor and Lorenzo to Taylor Steele when he was living in Australia, and Taylor's like just been a good friend of ours for years, and he believed in our story, which was really cool as well. And he's like, I'm going to put you in contact with like Mick Lawrence, who then owned Garage Films, and then we went and we got a meeting with him. So we went down like 2 days later to Sydney with Taylor and Lorenzo and met Mick, and we were just talking, and then he goes, Barney, you have an amazing story, and then he looked at Kada and goes, now tell me about you. And then she just started telling all these stories and all stuff like that, and then he's like, it's now going to be a love story, and like a love story within it. But so she,
a tale as old as time.
Yeah, and so she was like, wow, like, and she didn't want to
And then it seemed like she hadn't even really voiced to you the whole singer-songwriter thing either. Nah. So like for that to come out of it too is like, it's cool, man.
That was amazing. Yeah, that was pretty, special. Like I've said the story in the movie, but I was just in my room, just doing some work on some emails, and then we went and picked up her piano that she wanted to sort of start to play, and I just thought, oh yeah, cool, she just loves to have a bit of a tinker around and stuff, and
bit of tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, that's it, like the old chopsticks. yeah so I was waiting to hear some chopsticks, but next thing I hear this music coming from the lounge room, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I went out.
She's put it on autoplay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's like, did she listen to the radio? Like, and then went out there, and I was just like, holy shit, like that, the way you play and your voice is amazing. And then I said, I didn't even know that. And she goes, oh yes, there's something I do. And I said, well, you've got to do something with this. You've got to do something with this. You've got a gift that you need to show the world to, and show to the world or whatever.
I know what you're saying.
And then so then it just started from there. And then that's one thing. And then just telling each other our goals, and then living our goals together. And we've just been so lucky that with my training in America, she could record in America, and it just led to bigger and better things for both of us.
Did you, when you were I guess when everything kind of the dust settled and you maybe resume life as usual, I'm sure you were dating and hooking up with chicks and doing the hot surfy fucking dude thing that you were doing back in the day.
Yeah.
Did you, when the dust settled on the injury, did you ever think that you were going to find a relationship like you have?
No.
Because mate, wheelchair or no wheelchair, you're punching.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hadn't even thought about it. But I definitely wanted to find that special person, and then there was definitely times I was like, will I ever find that person? And to be able to find it and hit a jackpot, it was definitely something that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure that in the negativity that kind of follows, they said it in the movie as well, but to get in the situation that you did and not go through depression is like, there's 0% chance. How could you have your whole life turned upside down? And I'd be sure that, people find it hard enough to have a good relationship without all of the adversity, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's to see the way that you guys came together and through the situation, it's even just that's such a crazy example to people that man, nothing can stop happiness.
No, that's exactly right. And it's, as I said, it's a pretty special thing we've got going on.
Yeah, it's definitely hashtag goals.
Relationship goals or whatever they say or something.
So we go back to the book. 6 months doesn't seem like that long, because the procrastination would be real.
Oh shit! It's like,
again, I guess it's that deadline sort of thing, having a goal to work towards.
It was literally we started writing, and then there'd be times where we'd be like, okay, we've got to write today, and we're like, fuck, I don't want to go back into that dark time. Let's put it off tomorrow. And then that got more and more, and then literally we had 70,000 words to write in, was it just over a month, 6 weeks? we were down to 6 weeks, and we're like, shit, we got 70,000 words. So we're like saying, all right, we need to do this many words a day to be able to make it. And okay, and then we're like, and then we actually sat down one Sunday and we're like, okay, we're in it, let's do it. And then we wrote like we spent like 6 hours, and then we counted how many words, and it was like 1,200 words, and we're like, fuck, what are we gonna do? We're not gonna do this. Like holy shit, like this is gonna be so hard. And then we ended up just getting into those times and just going bang. Like Kate pretty much had a shoulder injury from typing so many friggin' words in a month, and like just being in that position. And we ended up like overshooting it. So in like 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it was, we wrote 98,000 words, and then when we only needed 70, so we're like, we just got put under the pressure, and then we just
pressure makes diamonds.
That's it. But those 6 weeks were like some of the worst times we've probably been through in our life. Like, just
in what way? Like, was it making you two fight, or were you just sad all the time, or was it like
not fighting? We were just like going
drained.
Fuck, like this is like. It really fucked with our heads a bit, like saying, but then in the end, we lived it together so we could help each other through it. And so if I had a shit day because I was writing about some heavy stuff, and Kate would be my rock, and then the next day she'd be writing some heavy stuff, and I'd help her, and that's what was really cool about it, because we got so more in depth. Like, there's only so much you can put in an 85-minute movie, but to be able to explain,
well, that's
detail.
why books have never gone away.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no constraints when it comes to it, and you can really be as descriptive. You can be as deep. You can, there's no. I guess you've got editors in a way, but no one's going to edit a story about your life, I guess, because it's like, this is what it is.
They were pretty stoked, and for Hashout, the big publishing company they are, to give us 100% control on being able to write the book ourselves. Like, we actually had a chat last night
that seems bold.
Yeah. Like, we had a chat, and she's like, so. I'm not going to lie, I was kind of worried, like, giving you guys 100%, but...
Because did they give you guys, like, an advance on it? So, like, the typical, like, book advance, and then we had to do that.
So we could have got a ghostwriter and taken it out of that. And, but, and she's like, don't take this the wrong way, but I was really surprised how amazing your book is, like, how amazing it is.
It makes sense. Like, you've never done anything before.
No, exactly. So... But so we're just thinking what's next. So, we're just gonna try and get this book out into as many hands as possible, and hopefully help people like make through whatever dark times or whatever. Like, it's got. There's so many messages in the book, which hopefully will help people. Yeah.
What's some of the hardest stuff for you to go back to? Is it directly injury related? Is it time after when you realize, like, I guess it's got to hit you, because I'm sure that there's stages of, like, you first get there, and then it's like, what do they call it, the 5 stages of grief or whatever you know what I mean, you get that and you're like, this isn't how I'm going to be, I'm going to walk, and then you get down the road and the progress is slow, like, so what's the hardest, or what's the stuff that's hard for you to visit? Obviously it's gonna suck talking about it again, but
shit, no, I could talk about it all day now, because it's all just so comfortable and whatever now. And I think going back into the accident times, I tell you, one of the hardest part was writing about one of my old dogs. Like,
shit.
that was the heaviest part of the book. And going back in to accident time and then hospital, and that was kind of cool. Like, I liked going back into that, because what's funny, because I don't remember the split second the car lost control, my memory's gone, and then I wake up a week later in hospital. But as we were going through my story, and as I was getting myself in that mind frame again, I was remembering shit, like the stuff,
like after a big night. And then someone tells you, you're like, I fucking remember that.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's like. I was remembering things like just after the accident, and just going, wow, I know what happened now. Like it was kind of, it sort of took a big haze off. I think that's just all part of the healing, and even since doing the book, my body has taken it to the next level as well. I think like stress or shit that you keep inside, like just eats at you and can turn into whatever and inside and sickness or whatever, and to get that out, the body working at 100% by itself is what that's what I think has been amazing in this whole process.
Man, I never really believed or put the connection between stress and like my body, but I can't remember the week. I had like a gnarly week, and I said to Ricky, I was like, man, I'm fucked. Like I hadn't done anything physical really at all, which might have been part of the problem as well. But I remember, I just wish I could remember the exact week, but I had a really gnarly week of just being super, super stressed out.
Yeah.
And my neck was tight, and I was waking up with headaches all day. And I had one day where I had a migraine, and I was like vomiting. And like I hadn't done anything, man. I was just like stressed, like so stressed. And I had all this stuff that I was like bottling up inside me. And I'd never really, and I really thought about it, because I was like, I'm trying to be super in tune with my body, and I'm always like trying to look after myself. Yeah. And then I was like, it was really like cooking my noodle, because I was like, man, I haven't done anything. And the only thing I could put it down to was stress. Yeah. And then when people always say like stress is a killer, you're like, is it though? Like, you know what I mean? Like it kind of sounds super kooky and very
it's like a stereotypical sort of shit. Yeah.
And that after that week, I was like, I need to avoid stress if possible, because like that week jacked with me like hard.
Yeah. Oh mate, there's some lessons that we've learned along the way for sure with how that stress or any type of just holding things in is not good, like, because your body will just combust. And
it finds a way to get rid of it.
It finds a way to get rid of it, but sometimes it's not
it's not the way you want.
No, exactly.
So I guess what was the dog thing? Like you had a dog that was helping you out?
So I had a dog which was I got her when I was super young, like probably about 14 or 15, and then so she was there, and then through my whole accident and stuff like that, and then just to talk about losing her, man, like that's it sent like me into just hours of crying, like it was crazy. Hey, man, I have a dog that he's in the States, and it's like super hard to bring my dog back and forth, and it's like the biggest nightmare ever. And I go through like whenever I see someone with the dog on Instagram, because it's been like 3 months since I've seen him, and he stays with really good friends of mine, so it's like it's fine, you know what I mean? Like they look after him so well. Like when we go away.
Yeah, and I always see like Instagrams of they're on a ranch like near you guys actually.
Oh, sick.
And but like that just jacks me like worse than anything. Oh man, you know
like,
what I
mean? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a real dog person, and I think I like dogs better than humans. Hey,
you know why, man? The book that I've been reading, I never realized why they say like dog's man's best friend, right? Yeah. Because humans can do shit out of spite and like maleficence, but a dog can't. Dog, like if a dog bites a rabbit or something, that's his nature. There's no malice in that. Like, so dogs only have like this innocent nature, and it's innocent whether they're killing a rabbit or it's innocent whether they're sitting on your lap. Like there's no premeditated hatred that can come out of a dog.
Exactly.
But humans, we can do cruel shit just to do cruel shit. And I've never thought about the reason why you're like, when people say I like dogs better than people, that's why. Because they don't have a bad bone in their body.
Nah, they're not.
And they're capable of doing bad shit. But they're not doing it because
they want it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, when you say that's the reason.
It's crazy.
I never knew.
Dogs can, people could learn so much from dogs. Like just their whole universe is you pretty much, and like they're just their loyalty, that's one thing. Like is I love this saying that I saw once. It's called be the person that your dog thinks
you
are.
are. Yeah.
I love that shit.
That's so true. There's like a like I've when you were saying like everyone should like write a book about themselves, and like because like there is like a healing process in it. It's funny, like sometimes I try and think like, and it's not out of wanting to be famous or it's like if I was writing a book or if I was in a movie, would I be like a dick in the movie or would I be we've had an issue but
blow out.
Would I be, you know what I mean, like would I be an asshole or like a shit character that people wouldn't want to watch, or would I be a guy that is like the hero of the movie?
You're gonna be the hero or the villain.
So it's like that's kind of relates back to that quote, like be the person your dog wants you, because it's true, like you could, I think that with like, I don't know, maybe with social media and stuff these days, I don't think people, well, I guess you have an ability now where you never did to be able to project onto something what you want people to think your life looks like. Whereas before all that, you were just you, like face value, and the only people that would see you are the people that interact with you. And I think that maybe the only people that had a chance to put on a persona that wasn't actually them is like people in TV or movies, or because they're like acting in that way. But the general public, we didn't have that option. But now we've got this option where it's like, I can show you this happy smiley beach photo but be like super bummed.
Bloody
it's weird, but we didn't have that before. But now you can like cultivate this idea, but that's got to like toy with your head a bit, right?
For sure. And it's like, I seen another thing on I think it was on Instagram, but it was just talking about like a person, like there's a person with 7 followers or something, and she is the most happiest she's ever been. There's people who are in a relationship that don't show any photos of their partner, but they're the happiest they've ever been, and like just shit like that. It's just so filtered. Instagram is so filtered, and like one thing that we're really passionate about that we do is we go talk to schools now. Like we take in the movies at the school, like the year will watch it, and then we'll come in and do a Q&A sort of discussion after. And we get a lot of, we get the normal questions like, when are you going to have kids and all that sort of shit. But and that's, we love that because the innocence of a kid who just
kind of like a dog in a way.
Just exactly. And so we just tell them, because there's like, who's the most famous person you met, or blah blah blah, and we just like, and then we just try to get through their head that Instagram, what you see on the net is not always what it is like, and you can't think, like, you've got to think for yourselves, you've got to do things yourself, you've got to we're the most. Kada's got some amazing saying, and I can't even think about it. But what's that shit you say about we're now the most?
Oh, that we're so connected.
What? You're so connected.
By social media.
But so disconnected. But that's so true. Like,
there's definitely an anti-social media aspect to it as well. Like when you go out, like we see couples, like we'll go out and we'll see couples that are like both on their phone. But they're like out at a restaurant.
It was at breakfast this morning. Holy shit! There was these 2 people like sitting here, a laptop there, phone next to them, eating, just going, not even talking. I'm like, fucking hell.
What are you doing? Have a yarn.
Have a chat. See what you want to do today, what he's doing today or something.
I think that's the other thing why people eat up podcasts in a way, because like Adrian, if you listen to one of the podcasts, listen to Adrian Hunter.
Okay.
He's a G. He was a SAS, like Special Forces guy, right? Then he was a SAS trainer, so then he like wrote all the programs to train the dudes, like physical training.
Shit.
Then he quit, did a 6-month bow hunting trip in Alice Springs. He didn't take any food, he just took water and a bow and arrow. And then he went to the US to work for Boost Mobile. Then he started Monster Energy in Australia. And like the dude is just like a full gangster. Dude. And I fully just forgot where I was taking that. Why did I mention Adrian? What's that? I just fully spaced on where I was going. That sucks. I was going to get to a point, I promise. Why would I have been talking about Adrian?
Talking about, social media, disconnectedness. Not talking to each other.
Yeah, I just fully lost it. I had it and it was gone. That's happened to me a few times.
It'll come back.
I'm sick, all right? I'm sick.
Yeah.
Nah. Where do we go from here then? Well, that's just really frustrates me when that happens because you sort of, I guess, that's what I was saying, podcast stuff. I was saying to him, he's just like a really good mate of mine, and I loved, like, we go and he lives in Noosa, and every time we're there, we try and hang out with him, and like, he's the dude where it's like the campfire.
Yeah.
So he'll just be talking and everyone stands around him in a circle. And he's not like the guy that walks in the middle of the circle. The circle forms around him.
Yeah.
So it'll start like just me and him, and then it'll be like, and then all of a sudden he's got an audience. And he's just like, but there's no ego with him. Because he's done so much, there's nothing to prove kind of deal. But I was like, man, got to do the podcast. He's like, how long is it? And I was like, well, as long as you want. You know, like you'd kind of cut the cord at 3 hours because then you're getting a bit over it. But I was like, man, 1.5, 2 hours, like it just the time goes like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, all right. And then I got him to do it. He drove up from Noosa and it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something. Like it was epic. And we had no questions, like same as this. Like I don't ever have questions. But he called me the other day and he's like, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought nobody would get to the end of that. But at the end of the podcast, he's like, oh, if anyone wants to learn about the protein or the company and blah, 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 then my number's on my Hunt's Fitness page.
Oh, yeah.
And he called me up and he's like, dude, I had 6 people call me in the last 2 days.
Oh, sick.
Off like that. He's like, I did not think anyone would listen to that. But I think there's like this thing that's happening now where we went from like 15-second Instagram videos. Now we've got a minute. So it's like you sort of live in this minute retention rate kind of zone.
You got to fit everything in there.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like even if you go to lunch or dinner or everyone's kind of got their phones, something's beeping, something's distracting you. And it's like when you come into this little zone here, there's 2 people, there's headphones, and there's nothing else really.
Yeah, human connection.
And I think people crave that now because even if they know it or they like, I don't think people are actively listening to podcasts going, man, I crave human connection. I don't think they think that's what they're doing.
It's very subconsciously,
Exactly, but I think subconsciously people are going, like we sort of do need to really slow it down and stop all this noise.
We love podcasts. Like I never had been into podcasts before until probably, I don't know, 12 months ago maybe, or 12. Yeah, but because you can listen to podcasts anywhere. Yeah, you can be driving with a podcast. As long as they don't have a monotone voice like me and you get bored and shit, you won't crash. But it's like you can listen to them anywhere, which I love.
Well, I think too that one of the other things that, I mean, people have said before about, it's just 2 people and the connection, like, so I don't think that's a new idea. But I think the other thing that I think about, man, is like, so if you're on a movie set or like, say you're doing an interview, right? So like you're shooting your movie and you're doing an interview. Yeah. There's like you sitting there, then there's like 3 lights minimum, and then there's a director, then there's a guy on the camera, and then there's like a producer. So like what you see as a person that is, I guess, consuming that media. Yeah. Like you see just you in the frame, right? Yeah. But what you see as a person shooting or like being in that film, you have this view of like cameras and lights. So it's like, that's a different experience.
It is, yeah.
But with this, right, there's me and you and 2 microphones and 2 headphones. Yeah. And then all I can hear is you, all you can hear is me. Yeah. And then when you listen to it, or like Joe Blow listens to it in the car, what he hears is his headphones and 2 microphones. Yeah. So there's no like, it's almost like there's no trickery, there's no Hollywood magic. And you know, when you're like, edit that, I'm like, there's no editing. So it's like, you don't... Yeah. I don't think there's any other medium where watching it or consuming it is the exact same as the experience that the people making it have. Yeah. So it's like, it actually is like a shared experience. There's nothing else going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome, hey.
And that's the thing that kind of like, when I was like, I guess writing different plans for actually starting this thing. And I'm like, that's another subconscious reason why people like it.
Yeah.
It's because there is nothing, like when you listen to it, it's literally like you're there because there was nothing else happening.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're just in that, especially in a car, like you're just like in your own box, like listening. So
yeah, there's like nothing else to do.
Nothing.
I think too, you can learn a lot. Like we just released one with Harry Bink yesterday, and he's never listened to any of them. Yeah. And he was like stoked because he's like, I want to learn stuff, but there's so much bullshit out there that you don't even sort of know where to start. And I feel like
filter so much shit too, like
and then I think that if you're sort of on a podcast, like you've got something to say or you've an expert in an area. Yeah. So it's like it's almost this way to like point people in different directions as well.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what we're really big with podcasts with people that are changing the world in like ways, like whether it's nutrition and but people that, because anyone can say anything they want, so it's sorting through all the crap and finding your thing as well is like what's easy to do.
Do you have you listened to any of Rogan stuff with Dr. Rhonda Patrick?
No, actually I have. I've not much, but I heard they're pretty amazing. Yeah,
because she's like ridiculous. Yeah, she's like a freak of nature in terms of what she can actually recall, like study. She'll be like, this such and such study from 2001. You're like, can't even remember what flight I got on 3 weeks ago. Like I can't remember what city I was in.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a cool resource. And I think too, like a lot of people don't, I guess there's like information that doesn't pay to be out there. Yeah. In terms of like companies and, you look at like the big companies that are making a lot of money that buy a lot of advertising, and there's not to go all conspiracy theory, but there is.
I love conspiracy. Go.
If you follow the money, are you a conspiracy theory guy?
Love it, mate.
Tell me you're not a flat Earth guy.
Oh fuck no.
I was like flat Earth and
fuck off. Yeah, done. Okay, delete.
And that was the Barney Miller hour, and we're out. Yeah, the flat Earth one I can't get on board with at all. Neither. What's your favourite conspiracy?
Favorite conspiracy. Oh, mate. I love the Donald Trump conspiracies.
What are they?
Oh, just.
Are you like a full Trump hater?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sick. All right, go.
Yeah, but no, it's just I love. Mate. There's everything. There's chemtrails. There's. Well,
I can't do the chemtrails purely because if you go, this is just my unscientific take on it, right? So if we went over there into the back corner of Gold Coast Studio and you sprayed Glen 20, and then this was like the atmosphere, like you wouldn't be able to smell it. So it's like all of these planes, like when you like crop spray and stuff like that, you're spraying like a super controlled area. So it's like how much stuff would you have to be letting go to actually have any kind of like blanket over society?
No, that's it. No, it's when you see the crossovers, they're trying to like trap you in a net, I reckon. Eh?
Oh, he's going deep.
Nah, mate. I'm not a big thing about it at all. Like I don't really give a shit. But like,
it's interesting though to like, I'm a big like my conspiracy. It's not conspiracy, but I'm like a dude that goes follow the money in every single thing that happens. Yeah. If there's something you're like, well, it's going to like the gun stuff in the US, right? Yeah. So it's like, I've asked Ricky, man, I went deep, like the last shooting, and you'd know what it's like living in the state. Like my thing with the whole shooting thing, and I get people that I've got good friends that are like hardcore Second Amendment guys. Yeah. And like they just get the shits with me talking about it because that's their point of view. But like, I've got people in America I love. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I've got a friend whose kids are in high school right now. And like and then they're pro Second Amendment guys, like they're massive gun guys. And I'm like, dude, when I talk about this passionately and when I look up, like I'm doing it because I'm scared that your kid could be one of the kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm not looking at this through a lens of like trying to just be
From
a
the
dick
outside,
and go
yeah, yeah.
like, oh, well, Australia fixed it, bro.
Yeah,
Because I think
yeah.
there is that angle, and it's like, man, all right, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
But then from me, I'm like, well, I've got the Australia experience, and then I've got the people in America that, like, there's a reason for me to say and feel strongly about this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to just be like one of the bandwagon people that's
No,
like, we
yeah.
worked in Australia.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do
I know,
that
and
anyway.
There's so many people that just have no idea, and they just hear someone or see that it's been posted on Facebook or Instagram, and they'll try and claim, like, do it as their own, or
It's a rabbit hole.
it is, mate.
But the thing, like, so why I brought the gun thing up, right? So you look at Australia, I think we have like 3 manufacturers that make guns.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a massive industry. Whereas in the US, you've got like Smith and Wesson, like there's like 17 or 18 major gun manufacturers in America.
Yeah.
And then you've got a union and a lobbyist. And we know, like, so in Australia, like, you look at Ergon or any of those, like, unions are powerful.
Yeah.
And then there's legislation around unions.
Yeah.
So it's like they can influence the government.
Yeah.
So in Australia, when the gun thing happened, we didn't really, I think it was all sort of based on public perception. I don't really think there was, and I was reading a thing the other day that said, like, our version of the NRA was like on board with the changes that Australia made.
Yeah.
So, like, that's, I guess, a different sort of deal. But you've got this like multi-billion-dollar industry to protect.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a production line of guns.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like they've got to go somewhere.
Exactly.
And the unfortunate thing with guns, and that's like, you see these arguments where people are like, oh, well, there's a knife, and you got to have a knife in school to cut your food. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't cut food with a gun. Like, there's no other use
there's
for a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Except shooting,
and then it's like, oh, should we ban all cars?
Yeah.
No, because we use cars for other shit. Like, we don't use guns for other shit.
Yeah, mate. Oh, mate, it's the uneducated ones that stir all this shit up, eh?
It's frustrating too, because it's like, oh, it's this issue and it's that. It's like, all right, well, let's just do all of it.
Yeah.
Like, when they're like, oh, it's just too big of an issue now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, kind of. Like, let's say space travel was an issue.
Yeah.
And in the 1920s,
Yeah.
they'd go, well, space travel is too big of an issue for us to figure. Lo and behold, like, what, 40 years later, they figured it out.
There, yeah.
So it's like, hey, it might take 40 years.
Yeah, it takes,
but
it's gonna
should we
save
have
lives.
a crack?
Yeah. That's
So
it. Yeah.
that stuff frustrates me. But so I'm more of like but yeah, with that, it's like you've got this industry, then you've got a union, and you've got so it's like follow the money.
Yeah,
And the whole
totally,
so that's where I'll buy into conspiracies, but I won't buy into like science, like especially flat earth and all that shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, because it's like there is a lot of science. Like, if we figured that out in ancient Greek in times, then like
exactly. And
probably going to be able to figure it out now.
I'm pretty sure we've seen pictures of a round Earth. Like there's been
They're
that
fake,
much,
bro.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
fake. CGI.
Yeah.
Why do they look so fake?
Oh shit, man.
It's like, that's funny, because it's like, well, have you ever been to space?
Yeah.
How do you know what fake looks like in space? Like, is there a possibility that it looks different than a place with no atmosphere looks different than a place with an atmosphere?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. I've never been there.
Yeah,
I'd trust the people that have spent their life trying to figure it out over me.
Exactly. Oh, mate. It just follow Elon Musk, mate, and he's proven it.
That's scary how good that dude is.
Oh my god.
Like,
I've almost got a man crush on him, mate. He's pretty amazing.
You know how stupid we are? Like, me and you, like, we're so dumb. Like, when you look at a dude like that, that's like the one thing you realize. You're like, I'm dumb. Like, I'm a shellfish. Like, are we even the same thing?
I love what he does, and mate, he's probably the number one guy besides you that I'd like to meet.
Well, you've met me now.
Yeah, no, so okay. So I've got to find Elon, mate. But yeah, I'd love to. Could you imagine having a podcast with him?
Nah, I wouldn't be worthy. You know what I'm like? I'm so stupid. Like, what could I possibly ask him that would be,
Smart.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's
what
true.
can I talk to that
You
dude about?
just
I'd
find
be like, hey,
three.
so space, huh? Pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So the Earth's round. Yeah. See?
Yeah, just like, what do you think about flat Earth? He'd be like,
You're a wanker.
and I'm out. But yeah, like I did a shoot with Blake Griffin, you know, the Clippers
basketball,
dude.
yeah.
That was another moment where like I
Sick.
looked at him and I was like, we're not the same. Like we're not the same thing. Like he's 7 foot something.
Yeah.
Like his arms, dude, were like as thick as my legs. And it was like his legs are as thick as my trunk.
Wowzers.
And you're like, dude, we're not the same thing. And it's like, wow. And that's like Elon. You look at the things that he can do. Like, I was watching a documentary thing on YouTube with him, and he was like, he was a kid back in South Africa, and like, I guess he was a young prodigy kind of dude.
Yeah.
And they were doing this interview with him, and he's like, well, at 13, I was scared of the dark, and then I realized that all the dark is that there were no photons hitting my retinas, and I was just like,
Holy shit.
I was fucking scared of the dark at 16 and I hadn't figured any of that out. So it's like, you know, like how smart can a person be?
Nah.
We're not the same. We're not the same thing.
But yeah, I almost said I love him.
Just be honest, mate.
Yeah.
It's funny. Everyone they say with Elon, they're like, oh, he should be the president. He's like way too smart to be the president.
Exactly.
Like, could you imagine going from Trump, who I think, well, they said like, I mean, you don't know, like, because it's all the left and right, but they reckon that some of the way that he delivers speeches is the same as a sixth grader.
Yeah.
So could you imagine going from a sixth grader to a dude in 6th grade who stopped being scared of the dark because there was no photons? Like, you know, that would be
great. Yeah.
That would be drastic.
Yeah, mate.
Do you follow much like politics and stuff like that in Australia? Like, are you sort of into it, or like
I couldn't even tell you
what are you into when it comes to like when you get on a deep scroll or a deep YouTube?
The only deep stuff I get into is probably rewatching Bob Hawke scull that pint quicker than anyone that's been recorded.
G shit.
Yeah, I know, mate. Just the crazy stuff. Like that's living legend right there. But yeah, no, I don't get too deep. I think.
Like, what interests you though? Like, not, I guess, like away from politics and stuff. Like, what's the stuff that you kind of really go deep into?
Boring shit. Like, yeah, I do. I love space. I love space a lot, and yeah, just what else do I get into? I get into nutrition a lot, which is like nutrition, healing the body. Just I don't know, just trying to find new things that work and stuff like that. But yeah.
That I wanted to actually ask you about Project Walk, because I got a friend. Do you know Josh Wood?
Yeah, Woody.
Yeah. So he's a good mate of mine.
Oh, really?
So that's what was crazy about the whole surfing thing, was that oh man, it was years ago now when he was at Project Walk.
Yeah.
And I was living in Temecula, so I was like pretty close to Oceanside. I used to go surf there every day.
Yeah.
And he hit us up and he's like, dude, I'm here at Project Walk. He was coming over, like hanging out. We were watching like the UFC fights and stuff at our house when they were on and that. And he's like, dude, I want to go surfing with you again. And I was like,
was that you? One of you guys that took him out?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I was there. I wasn't there watching, but
you were at Project Walk.
I was at Project Walk at the time. I know that's bullshit.
Yeah. So that's why your surfing thing kind of like that kind of pulled some heartstrings for me, because like he was, man, like that was a super heavy day. Because, you know, like I rolled up, gave him like I had a spare wetsuit, and then he's like putting the wetty on, and then Millsy was there, and we were all walking down.
Eh? All right, I'm good mates with him, and he, that was if one good thing came out of Project Walk was probably meeting him and Millsy in that day. Like,
so what happened? Wasn't there some controversy around Project Walk now?
Oh, mate, I could get so deep. There's so many conspiracy there, but
because I had zero idea of what is like, but somebody said to me, or I heard somewhere, that there was something happening with Project Walk, and I was like, oh damn, like that seemed like it was helping Woody out.
Yeah, it was amazing. The place was amazing. The trainers were amazing. It was the management that destroyed it. Like a CEO came in and just buried it pretty much. Like started getting too focused on money and not giving a shit about the trainers. Like, and that's why we went there. We didn't go there
for the facility or whatever.
Yeah, we go for the trainers. And they're the most important thing. And when they started getting not looked after, and then a few of my trainers dropped out and then left and started their own thing, so I went and followed them, and then lo and behold, like the place shuts down, like just because of just how it got buried. So which is really sad because
I would, like, until I can't remember where I heard it, but until I heard that, I was like, man, everyone, like, I know people having a motocross background. Yeah, I've got a ton of friends that have been through like what you've sort of gone through, and that's why I think maybe that's why as well I always had such an admiration for you, because like I've seen people go through the struggles and like, dude, a couple of weeks ago I had a friend, he's had spinal cord injury, but it's not like a
paralysis.
Not a paralysis. And I mean, even he's going through, like I said, talking to him on Facebook the other day, he's in the US and he's like having, really dark days, and I'm like, and I was like, dude, you're going to be at war with your mind more than your body. Because you've just got time on your back, man. Like they say that that's an idle mind is the devil's playground. That's what you have now.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's super close to home for me, just because of the friends that I've kind of got through motocross.
Yeah, sick. No, it's I met so many, like it's so crazy because up until going to Project Walk, I just didn't like to be around people that were in wheelchairs. Like, I know it sort of sounds a bit arrogant or whatever, but
it makes sense, dude. Like, and I think that if that sounded bad to anybody, first of all, fuck you. Second, but you don't know. Like, you can't. Everybody's experience is totally their own. There is a reason that you would have felt that way. So and I mean,
it's really cool, like to go to the facility that everyone's there for the same reason, and that's to walk again. And so everyone was feeding off each other. Like there was people that
almost like a team atmosphere.
Yeah, there was people like learning to walk there, and people that are standing for the first time, people that have no movement whatsoever, and everyone fed off the motivation and the inspiration together, and that was when I just started really hanging out with people in wheelchairs, like because just having that same goal, I guess, just relating to people was it was definitely that. And
I guess, like, when you've got the injury that you've got, every single case is different. Like, you're all fighting your own battles. Like, some people's to be able to use their hand, or some guy, and there's different stages, like make a fist, or start to get sensation here. So it's like, I guess it's so individual. But no one's the same. You're not fighting over a different or the same thing. Everyone's got their own little battle, and you can just take things from everyone's battle.
And that's what was really cool, because one thing with I guess with getting inspiration and getting motivation through other people, and I know this might sound weird, but I now watch kids in the early stages of life, and learning to walk again, learning to crawl again, and I see where I am at in my recovery to them.
Like, you can relate to that.
Yeah, so I'm like, fuck, that's where I'm at. Like, I'll see a kid standing,
that's
and I'm
crazy.
like standing for the first time, or a little kid like leaning on something or taking steps, and I'm like, I really and I feed off all that. Like, I feed off 3-year-olds, which is kind of weird.
But you're like taking inspiration where you can find it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what my body's doing. My body's learning to walk all over again, and they're doing it for the first time, so they're learning for the first time all over again. So
that's pretty crazy. Like, that's actually a super cool way to like kind of put it into perspective of people, because think it'd be hard to get a perspective. That's why I said, like, as dumb as it sounded at the start, like falling asleep on your arm.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's probably the closest people are ever going to get to that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because, when your foot goes numb and then, like, when your foot goes numb on a couch and then you stand up and you try and walk on it, you're like, whoa, like, it's such a weird, and then your first instinct is sit back down, let it come back.
Yeah.
But you're in a position where you can't just sit down and let it come back. You've got to push through that uncomfortability.
Got to work on that, eh? Yeah.
Did it ever seem, was there ever a point where you were like, nah, fuck it, I'll just stay in the chair? Because it'd be, like what the task that you've got ahead of you to do it is just like, it's monumental.
Yeah.
And the uncertainty, like at least a baby knows it's going to walk, or it has feeling, and it's just dealing with motor skills. Like you're dealing with a billion challenges. Like, was there ever a point where you were just like, no, I'm just going to sit down, it's all good?
Nah, I was just like, because sitting in a chair is so fucking uncomfortable, and I was like, that was a big push actually, like just being out of the chair. Like I just wanted to be out of the chair as much as possible, and it's sort of, it hasn't come to that point, I don't think, but just being able to just sort of like I guess being out of the chair is the most important part, and I'm very sort of fidgety as well. Like I can't stop moving, like you probably noticed, but it's just because if you don't it's move,
like if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, exactly. So
have you seen, I got another friend, I'm not sure if you've met, I actually would really like to put you guys in contact. His name is Jesse Nelson, and he's do you know Jesse as well?
Strides,
yeah.
He's at Strides.
Well, okay, cool.
Yeah,
sweet. I was gonna say, if you didn't know each other, I'd love to put you guys in contact.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, your story is like that. It feels like I've known you for a long time, just because I've seen what my friends have had to go through.
Yeah,
and it's fucked. Like, It actually, like, you know, I kind of it does affect me. And have you seen that thing that Jesse's got where it stands him up, and like it's like a I don't know, I'd have to ask him, but he stands up, it straps him in, and he spends like hours every day up in this machine.
Like a standing frame sort of thing, eh?
No, I don't know, like I don't know exactly what it is, but he stands up in it, and he reckons it's cool because it has to like engage his muscles and stuff.
Yeah, shit. Oh, the what? Oh, the stand up thing. Oh, maybe.
I don't know if he moves in it, but I think he, like, if he's watching TV or if he's doing anything like working at a computer, he stands in it so he's not in his chair. Yeah, and I think that there's a way he says it like engages his muscles and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's just like because it's back to that. If you don't use it, you lose it, because your legs would just deteriorate so fast, like,
to where it's nothing.
And like your muscles would just go away. Like I spend so much time on my feet now, it's pretty cool to see like your muscles developing. Like I've got calf muscles now.
No,
like,
shit. That's sick. So you can actually I guess it's just like anything, really.
Yeah. It's just repetition, hey. Like,
I guess I've never seen my muscles grow. I can't relate, man.
No, but yeah, that's it. Oh, that's so crazy. You know, like similar people to me.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, man, I've done like a ton of filming with him through Red Bull. Like he's one of my favorite people. Like he's going to come on the podcast like at some point. But yeah, he is just such a cool dude, and I know he really. I don't know how much you've spoke to him, but I know he struggled mentally because like he's an elite athlete. Yeah, he's one of the best dudes in the world. Yeah. And in terms of pure talent on a motorcycle, he's one of the best guys going. Shit. And it just all got taken away, and now he's been racing those off-road like Polaris races.
I've been speaking to him a bit about them, like sick. Over there, like because literally we'll be training. He'll be training with his trainer. I'll be like Jason and Josh. So Jason and Josh used to be at Project Walk, both of them, and then they both left. Like they just got left just when sort of shit hit the fan, and they started their own thing called Strides, which is up in CM1 Capistrano, which is just
near San Clemente, over the Ortegas.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there'll be times where I'll be on one table with Josh and Jesse will be on the other table with.
So all
Jason.
three of you are there.
Yeah, It's
That's sick.
Oh no, sorry, different Josh.
Oh, different Josh.
Josh is
okay.
one of the trainers.
Oh, righto.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it'd be pretty cool if Josh Wood was there as well. But yeah, so me and Jesse would just be chatting or going on. Like, yeah, he's probably even mentioned your name, and I'm just like, fucking no idea.
Maybe because I said to him because when he got hurt or whatever, and he was back home, like he was just bored out of his mind.
Yeah.
And then him and his fiance were doing that drive, and that drive sucks from where they're at. It's like an hour and a half every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, do you ever listen to podcasts? And he's like, nah. And I was like, send him a bunch of links. And I was like, go nuts, man. So I think that, that helped him out with the drive and stuff.
Yeah, that's hell.
And then he was going to come on when I was in the States. He was going to be my first ever guest. But it was pretty funny because the DMV said he couldn't drive. Like he had to go and retake his license test.
Well,
so the day we were going to do it, they said you got to do your thing, and I was like, can you just tell him to fucking Google Jesse Nelson? Like Google Jesse Nelson or type it in YouTube, and you're going to see a freak of nature at controlling a vehicle with a motor in it. Like he's good. Give him a pass. He's totally fine.
That's what happened. Like
he's a race car driver now. He can drive a car.
But they just take your license. It was really weird actually because they took my license, and then I didn't get my license for probably 4 years after the accident, maybe, or 5 years. No, about 4 years. But because I had to go back and do the L's again.
Oh,
and
fuck.
those L's things fucking suck. I failed twice. I was like, that rule wasn't in there when I was 16, like 10 years ago. And so I was like, failed twice, and I was just like, oh man, I'm just so.
What kind of asshole would fail you? Eh? Like you've just been looking at him like, I bet you they could not. Like we're living in such a politically correct world now, where like that guy would be too scared to fail anybody in a wheelchair. They'd be like, oh, yep, not pass.
It's just a computer now, because they leave it to the computer and it just says, sorry, you failed. And I'm like, well.
Oh, did you fail the written one? Not even the test, the driving test.
Nah, the written one that you do on the computer.
You failed that.
Yeah, I failed it
That's
twice.
on you, bro.
I know. That's what I'm like. It is on me, so I'm like, fuck, like. And then I was like, oh fuck, I pressed the wrong button and tried to make an excuse, but then the third time I got it, but I was like, geez, the driving test was sweet as, like I could drive a car and stuff, so just getting the L's again, like, because it had been nearly 10 years since it even sat down.
I would guarantee that if someone did the L's test to me right now, I'd probably fail. So I can't really talk shit.
They got new rules these days, far out. I tell you what.
I don't even know the old ones that good, I reckon.
Like, yeah. Oh, I don't know. I just don't understand what's going on.
I got pulled over in the States, and I was on the 15 South.
Oh yeah.
And it was the first time I'd ever been pulled over. I just got a brand new car, and I had dealer plates on it. Oh. And then so the guy pulls me over and he's like, "Where's your license plate?" And they post you the license plates. Their whole system over there is completely different. And so then I was going down the 15, and then lights come on. I was in the fast lane, so I just pulled off to the left.
Yeah.
So like off the fast lane onto the shoulder of the fast lane.
Holy shit!
And the guy comes up to me and he's like, the cop was pissed because it's like super sketchy. People are doing like 85, 90 miles an hour on those highways. And the cop was just like looking at me like I was the biggest wanker ever. And I just didn't even realise at all why he was so shitty at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I literally just drove from the dealership. So I was like, man, I'm not doing anything wrong. I was like, unless I'm speeding or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's the deal, man, with your thing? And I was like, oh, I literally just bought this car, man. Like, you can look at my thing. And he's like, all right, cool, that's fair enough. If you don't have your plates, you don't have your plates. He's like, why'd you pull over? And I was like, well, yeah, you had your lights on, man. And he's like, no, why did you leave the fast lane of the freeway and then go onto the shoulder? He's like, that's the most dangerous thing that you could possibly do. And he's like, where's your license? And I was like, oh, here, there's my Aussie one. He's like, where's your California license? And I was like, I don't have a California license. I'm not a Californian.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, here's a ticket for driving without a license. And I had to go to court and everything. And
Bullshit.
And I reckon it's just, if I knew the rules and I pulled off on an exit and did the right thing, then he probably would have just let me go. But because I was a knob and didn't know any of the rules, it cost me $3,000. The whole ordeal, man. Like, it was a nightmare. So yeah, pays to know your road rules, I found out.
Yeah, Kate got booked in America.
They're scary.
Yeah. They are. Like, man, it's just selective. I think they're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna just pinpoint and find someone, because everyone speeds on those roads.
Oh, there's no, the speed limit's got no.
And so for them to just pick randomly one person, it's like, oh fuck it, I'll just pull them over. And so she got pulled over, but yeah, it's $300. It's pretty nuts. Like,
bit steep. I got to walk again here. I got bills to pay.
Yeah, exactly. We're on our way to training. Come on.
How much are you surfing these days?
Every weekend.
Every weekend.
Yeah, have to.
So you surf more than me.
Do I? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't surf nearly enough. I don't know what my excuse is. But so you've got a crew that you go out with?
Yeah, I've got a good bunch of mates who are always keen to take me out. Like, whether it's here, I've got an awesome bunch of mates I grew up with here, and then in America I've got a good crew over there.
What's your go-to beach in the States that you surf at?
Cardiff
yeah,
Reef.
okay, yep.
Yeah,
I've surfed there a bunch.
It's awesome, mate. I love it. We sort of take over the joint, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, because that's where Kersey's right there, eh? That's his little spot, isn't it?
Kersey's.
It's all good.
You break it. Oh yeah, Kersey's just north at Pono, so
right,
Carlsbad, but yeah,
yep.
we
that gets pretty heavy there.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen in this spot called Campgrounds as well, and but yeah, Cardiff Reef's just a spot, and my mate Dana, like my main guy, he's the guy that was in the World Championships with me and stuff. He's pretty much my pusher, and yeah, he's a local there, so he knows all the crew, and then all the local crew sort of look after me and tell me to go when I.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there I haven't watched a lot of it. I've only seen when you won the World Championship was the only time that like actually hit my radar. So I think a lot of people that are even listening to this now wouldn't know how the whole thing works.
Yeah.
So I guess I've seen it. So, but for people that haven't seen it, how, like, explain the process of the way that you surf, and then is there the second part? I guess is like, are you seeing a progression now? Like, you guys are doing bigger waves, getting your turns. Like, is there actually the sport is starting to progress?
It is. Like the whole adaptive surf. So, adaptive surf world now is like there was 8 people in the Australian team, which ranges like and there's 10 different divisions or something like that, but so it ranges from like amputees, like a above the knee amputee, below the knee amputee,
kind of like the Paralympics almost, where it's got like the different categories,
and there's like double amputees, like blind. We've got a blind guy, Matt.
Is he the Brazilian dude?
No, there's another guy. He is I don't think he was at the contest this year, but Matt's just our blind surfer. But watching them surf is next level, eh? Like, just they've got someone that goes out with them, like just someone to sort of
trying to get them in the lineup.
Yeah, like duck dive, paddle, to right or a left, or like their job's hard, like to be a to do that. But yeah, so we had a really cool team, and so my division is called the AS5 Assist, which is I've got one person out with me in the water that has to paddle me out, and then they push me on the wave, and then once I'm on the wave, it's up to me. Like, I've got to try and do as many maneuvers as I can, or big maneuvers. Like, so now I just think about it as I used to surf when I was younger. Like, you just want to hit the lip as hard as you can. You want to, if there's an end section coming for you want to smack that as well. Like, and I just try and take it to that level, and I think I see the sport progressing pretty quick, which is good to see. So
there's surfing is going to be in the Olympics. Are you potentially staring at being an Olympian at some point with surfing being in the Paralympics?
Yeah, well,
because that would be pretty rad.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Like, it's definitely not in 2020, and then we just found out literally not that long ago that it didn't make the 2024 Olympics, because I don't know, that's another, there's so many conspiracies with that as well, like just about why we didn't get in, because you need to have 36 different countries or something in the world doing it.
Okay.
And we had 32, but no, I think maybe you got to have 40 countries, and we had 36. And then there was another sport that got in 32, that only had 32 countries, and it got in, but like it's so weird.
Follow the money, man. Where was the money?
Yeah, where's the money? It's in dancing, apparently. Wheelchair dancing made it in. So, it's. I hope that they'll someone will put in a protest or something just to
try and get it in.
So,
how old would you be in 2024?
I don't even know how old.
Don't look at your watch. That's not going to help you.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to see what year it is, mate.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. So 6 years, I would be 45.
That's not out of the question.
Nah. Oh.
So then the next, you'd be 49. So you'd be a 49-year-old Olympian if we could get it in.
Well,
I reckon that's possible.
I think, yeah, I look at it like I'm going to be up on my feet full time then. So
True.
It'd be cool I'd like to take a coaching role maybe along the way.
Yeah, I was just maybe thinking that as well.
Yeah. So Are
you working with other adaptive surfers in Australia? Like, is this something now that this has come along? Because like we said at the very start, it's pretty important for just anyone in life in general to have an outlet and a goal, a carrot to dangle. But then I think that you look at someone like yourself, like Jesse's a perfect example. Like, he was really without a bit of purpose because his life had been around being an elite athlete, and then that got taken away. And he's always had a next race, he's always had a next season, and next something was always there for him, and then that got taken away. So I think do you think that adaptive surfing is something that maybe even guys that haven't surfed before, that they can really get into it as like, this is an outlet now? It's not, because I think that a big worry for guys that have had spinal cord injuries is more impact. There's not a lot of impact when it comes to surfing, and then you can kind of be out in the water with your mates. I think that we could potentially see with a guy like yourself, because I think like you look at Mick Fanning, right? Obviously, well, Mick's not a great example because they were world champions before Mick from Australia. But like, let's say Mick, you've got Mick, he's in the spotlight where like maybe, when was his last world title?
2013.
Yeah, 13, right? So, you got like 2013. There's probably kids that are going to be coming on tour in the next couple of years that are direct result of that Mick Fanning World Championship.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? That you've got that light to follow. You're in a position now where you've got that light, that guys in wheelchairs that can now follow you. And I think it's cool to, I guess, get it out there that like, man, you didn't have to be a surfer before your injury. You can do this. There's a sport now, there's a world championship, like you said, there's 10 different categories. So would a win for you be to see more people see you doing it and then take the sport up?
I'd love to see it grow. And well, that's it, because we had a girl, AJ, or Lady AJ, in our Australian team, and she had literally surfed maybe 15 times before going and representing Australia, and she got a bronze medal. Like that's amazing. Like 15 surfs, like had no idea about surfing or anything like that, went in it and dominated. So that was really cool to see. So, and as the sport progresses, there's going to be more people like that. Like I'd love to see more competition and just make.
Got a bug on you, mate.
I'd love to see it progress and take it up to the next level for sure.
And there is that potential to do the coaching role then, eh? Because
for sure. You're
in a position of spending your whole life around surfing, in surf, and then obviously the connections you've got through the industry. It's pretty cool, man, to go, I guess, from not really having that outlet to now, you've got other opportunities as well, but this is a totally new road that you can kind of pave for yourself and for other people. And you're obviously passionate about helping other people in general.
Love that. I could that's one of the first things I love talking about, like with the charity event and raising money for a different person each year. I love just giving them the guidance of if they want to get back in the water, and tell them how important it's been for me, and because my trainer, one of my main trainers, said that pretty much surfing saves me. Not only mentally, like just because getting in the water physically as well. So in the way I surf, when I'm lying down I'm up on my elbows, so I'm in the total opposite position as I am in the chair.
Yeah.
So all the like muscles in the front, like the hip flexors,
getting
like
stretched out.
You're getting stretched out,
Yeah.
and which help you stand better too. Like, because that's one thing going through that stage when I was learning to stand again, like sit to stands and stuff with the trainer. He'd sit me up, he'd stand me up, and then my hip flexors would go like, what the fuck? So it'd sit me straight back down. So I had to like move that and like to surf and do that and stretch out these muscles that are inhibiting you getting straight when you stand has been an amazing thing as well.
What's the event that you do?
It's called the Barney Miller Charity Surf Classic. It was started by a mate of mine, Joel Tubby Bath, who I grew up with, and he did it as a HSC project when I was in hospital.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it was like a design and technology project. So he was like, and he just wanted to raise some money and do a surf comp, and so he called it the Barney Miller Surf Classic, and then it just went from there. I think we got like $500 maybe in the first year, and each year after that we've donated to a different individual who's been through an accident. And actually in 2007 I think it was, all the money was donated and we started a Disabled Surfers Association, like a chapter in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah, right.
So that was 10 years ago now, just over 10 years ago. But every year, all money gets donated. So in the last couple of years we've sort of raised around the 20 grand.
Yeah, right.
So that helps people. Like, not only do we give them a bit of money, I give them a bit of guidance and just sort of show them what I've been through to help recovery and stuff like that. And so they can spend it however the hell they want. They could go put it on black in Jupiter's or something if they wanted to, but like,
which is frowned upon.
Yeah. Don't do that, or I will not sponsor you again. So it's good to sort of see and do that in that direction. And so Tubby was on for the first couple of years, and then he sort of dropped off because he started a family and done his own thing and stuff now. So I've kept up doing it myself, and now it's like it's a big event, and we love doing it, like just to be able to help people and raise money for them, eh?
And then you do a ton of stuff with Wings for Life as well, right?
Yeah.
You're a Red Bull athlete, or of with the surfing?
I try. Yeah, I'd love to be an athlete.
Get that hat, son.
Yeah. I'd love to. Yeah, I want the hat. That's all I want. Like, I don't care about the money. But so I'm a Red Bull Wings for Life ambassador.
Yeah.
So, and
is that how you met Maddie? Was doing the Wings for Life stuff?
Yeah, it was. It was, Matt. Yeah, it was. So I've had a good relationship with Red Bull as well, which is really cool. So they've helped me with a lot of things and helped being a big push with our movie as well. Like they jumped on as a sponsor of the movie, so Wings for Life, I really to be a part of that is really cool as well.
Do you do the run in the chair, or like how does it?
Run in the chair.
Because what is it? 5Ks, right?
Nah, it's pretty much you run until the catcher car catches you.
Oh, really?
So
because I've never done it. I want to do it, but it's just
amazing.
Never worked out.
It's definitely like a race like no other. So it's running all these different locations around the world at the exact same time.
Yep.
So in Australia it was 9 p.m. on some point. Will that come through, you reckon?
Yeah, we'll just wait 2 seconds. Wild hogs. Yeah, so is that in Australia?
So in Australia,
in Australia,
in Australia, it's on at 9 p.m. on that day. So and then it's on at midday in Austria. The first year I ever did it, I did it in America, and it was at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's super, because I've got friends that shoot the photos for it.
Yeah, 3 a.m. in the morning. So that was crazy, and in the middle of the desert pretty much. And Kate, that first year I was doing media stuff, but Kada ran in it, and she actually sung the American national anthem to kick it off.
That's sick.
So it was pretty cool. And then, we did, so I was hanging out. It's freaking freezing, but and Kate was running and just kept running, and so everyone goes at the exact same time around the world. You just go, and then I think it's a bit of time after, like not long after, they send out a catcher car which starts at a low speed, like I think it starts at 8 k's or something like that, and then it gets it gets faster and faster like as time goes on, and then if it passes you, you're out of the race. So if people just keep running, and then all the catch cars around the world are doing the exact same thing. So, and the race just keeps going until there's one person left in the whole world.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I've never looked into it, of all the stuff I've done for Red Bull.
Amazing, mate.
That's rad.
It's so good. Like, it's exciting after you've run your race and you come in and you're all hanging out and stuff. You're watching it on the big screens, and it's got like coverage from all around the world and stuff, like at all different places. And then as it starts, it starts getting less and less people, and like
anticipation's like building,
and everyone's like going and it's like so funny. Like even when you're doing the race, you'll look around and see the catcher car at a distance, and you're like, shit, run! Like and so and then just watching the whole thing go down to when there's like one or two people left in the world, like, and they've been running for like nearly, I think last year they run for like 6 hours. Like,
really?
Yeah, this guy, he did like some ridiculous amount, and 90 something Ks, like, and I'm like, geez, like, he's a nutcase. Well, actually last year the guy was in Dubai or France, but he was in a wheelchair. The guy that won last year was in a wheelchair.
Oh, and he was just like going.
And he was just going
right.
for like crazy amount like of time. So
yep.
Yeah,
that's full on.
I know, it's the event's just like, to be part of it and to have Red Bull pretty much fund the whole thing, so 100% of all sponsorship, people's entry fee goes straight into spinal cord injury research. Yeah,
because I don't think a lot of people know that the owner of Red Bull, his son is in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
so that's where the whole thing came from.
Yeah.
Because he donates like, I don't want to say the exact number. It's like hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's like 500 million a year or something.
It's ridiculous.
It's
awesome.
Finding a cure.
Yeah, I know. It's he's an amazing bloke, and his whole story is pretty awesome too.
Have you ever, I'm sure you've thought about it, looked into it, but the whole stem cell thing, like, is that a thing that you're like actively sort of looking into?
Yeah,
because there's so much like left and right of that debate.
Yeah, there is. There's so much like going on. Like
go to Mexico, man. It's like so close to you.
Yeah, just get an injection, bang. I'm not for or against stem cell. Like, it's amazing.
On like the ethical level.
Yeah. No, not even that. Like, just sort of, I'm just doing what I'm doing now. I think I get more self
like
satisfaction doing it myself.
Yeah, right.
Like, and then there's sort of all different things with.
So you almost see it as like a performance enhancing thing in a way.
I guess you could say that. But like, it's definitely helping people, and I think it's exciting to see where it's going. Like, all these different things that are going on are amazing, and I love watching that sort of stuff. But as I see myself getting better by doing what I'm doing, I'm just going to keep doing that, and eventually, get to my way, like
get to where you want to be.
Definitely.
So what's the stuff now that, like, what have you got? What have you not got? What are you trying to get? You know what I mean? Like, so where are you at with it?
Right now, I'm in the position where I can stand in parallel bars by myself.
So is that using your arms still?
Nah, it's using my legs. So my legs are I can fully stand under my own power now with my legs. So I'll just get a little bit of help just to stand up, but then that person can go away. So my trainer can just walk away and
go get a coffee.
Yeah, go have a coffee, and just while I'm hanging out, stand, and like, it's and that's it's funny because I have to find a trainer that's willing to do that. Like,
Oh,
it's
that's
hard
not trying to like baby you in a way.
it's
okay.
hard to find someone that does
Because
that.
of I guess liability and shit. Eh?
Oh yeah, liability and just like it's hard. Yeah, like to working with me. Like my body's pretty unpredictable, but now I've got it down to a fine art where once I'm standing, I'm up, and if I fall, I fall. Like, that's all part of it. You've got to sort of fall to be able to get back up as well. So.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of falls, I had a fall last week, which was probably the worst fall I've had. But and I've sort of bruised my tailbone a bit, and I'm sort of a bit uncomfortable.
Can you feel it? Like,
so
when you're standing, what feeling do you have?
Oh, just it's like a massive connection just all the way down to my toes. Like,
so you actually, so if it's like touching your quads or something, you actually have that feeling and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, so I'm more a deep touch. Like, I have pretty good sensory as well, but the deep touch I feel.
Like if you really press into your leg or something?
Yeah, definitely like that. But I've got I've got a real burn like when I'm working out. Like, so, and whatever muscle I'm using at that time as well is like is going pretty hard as well. And so I've got that down pat. I actually, like, a couple of weeks ago just sort of took arms off while I was standing, took my arms off and stood there by myself for the first time.
Fuck, that's got to be like the craziest feeling.
It's bullshit. Like, I love that picture. I just love looking at it and just seeing what I did. And
because to come from, it's where you come from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's been a long time now since the actual accident.
Yeah.
But it's like, to boil it all down, to come from like never knowing if you'd be able to, breathe on your own, to standing up. That's fucking Mount Everest, man. Really.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just so stoked at where I'm at, and the fact that it's taken me, like, because I didn't really do much for the first 10 years. Like,
does that piss you off a bit?
Nah, like, things happen when they happen for a reason. Like, and the 10 years before that, like, shit, like, I had some good times. There was bad times, good times, but I don't even want to.
Yeah, like, go down that road.
Think about it, You didn't even really, like,
because you're here now.
Shit's going amazing, and that's all that matters.
So what's the next steps then? Like, is that literally what's next? Like, trying to take steps?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, so I can, with my like, I'm taking like assisted steps with my trainer in America, Josh, and so he'll sort of pull me forward, and I'll start to drag my leg through, but it'll literally just be like a little tap on the back of my knee, and then my leg will come forward.
Oh, like the reflex of it?
Yeah, it's just like, but I'm doing most of it myself, so I'm just dragging my toe a bit, but I'm dragging my toes, but yeah, all he needs to do is really tap it and do that. So I'm doing that, walking sort of around the facility in America and stuff like that, but to be able to, so next stage is parallel bars by myself, standing with taking a step with no one around.
No one pushing it.
So,
and that, what do you go through, like, the process of like giving yourself goals in terms of like months or weeks, or is it just like you just fully take it as it comes?
I just work my ass off. Like, I've just been working my ass off, and things are happening. So it's going to happen.
Like, less is more approach. Like, just do the work and worry about it. Yeah,
exactly. And you don't even. It's just what I've been living this whole time, and just throwing stuff out there, and it just happens. It ends up happening. So
yeah. So back to the book a bit, I guess. Are you guys doing like a book tour, or have you got like signings and stuff like that?
Yeah, there will be. That's going to be weird. The signings are going to be weird for me. Like, just I don't know. It's weird. Like, I guess being an athlete, they get used to that sort of stuff. But
because you're just a dude.
Yeah, I'm a dude. I'm not anything like. She's a singer. Like,
you're
she's
a world champion for a start. So I mean, you're more than just a dude, obviously. But like, I know what you mean. It's like you're not actively going out there as like, I want to be a speaker. I want to be like, you've all of this has come about through your journey in a way, not the other way around.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to be at this point come get my signature or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, shit, that sounds weird.
Yeah.
But so we're definitely gonna be doing. It goes on shelves April 10. Is that right? Yeah, April 10 it goes on the shelves, and then it's available pre-order like over the next couple of weeks, like, or it might even be now. Now it's available pre-order on like Amazon, Booktopia. Like, it's pretty. Yeah,
It's going everywhere, kind of thing.
yeah, it's going to be wherever you can find books and stuff, and then we're going to be doing an audio book as well. So
Are you guys going to read it?
yeah, we're going to read it.
Yeah, cool.
So I've got to get my drama on and like make
that-
my voice actually
can't
able
just-
to listen to. Yeah, we're just so stoked and so grateful to like sort of be the Hachette Publishing, which is that was, I didn't know much about stuff because I didn't really read books, but as soon as Kate realised that it's Hachette, and Hachette did stuff like Harry Potter,
The Bible.
yeah, pretty much that they wrote that, and but yeah, they did, yeah. And so Harry Potter, like Twilight, they've
Never heard
done.
of her.
Well,
Yeah, so they're super legit.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've done some pretty amazing things, and so Kate, that was a big sell. That was a yes from Kate straight away, and so now with what we've done, there's more stories to be told, I guess, down the track. So maybe we'll do a Harry Potter series, you and me. So let's just see where it gets to, I reckon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, do you have... So now, obviously, you've got, like, the autobiography kind of, or both of your story told.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself writing more, like, motivational stuff or different sort of things? Like, could you see yourself becoming, like, Barney Miller, the author now? Because you're actually wearing a lot of hats, like, for... Like, you're busier than most people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, is that something you could see yourself getting into?
I don't know.
You got a co-writer.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm her co-writer, I reckon. So she gets more rap than I do. I don't know. I'd love to. Anything to help empower people would be kind of cool. Kids is one thing that I'd love to do kids books or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You already do, don't you? Barney the dinosaur, isn't that like a kid's thing?
That's me. Yeah. 2 + 2 is 4. But one thing I'd really like to get published is something that's pretty important, that the movie that was almost based off, like, it's a book called it's a book called Who Am I? And it was something, my mum took it through all the schools that she ever taught at.
Because both your parents are teachers, right?
Yeah, both mine were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad was a TAFE teacher and then a TAFE principal, and Mum was a teacher and then a vice principal. And so Mum, did this book. It's called Who Am I? And she used to do it to every year 6 class that she ever taught with and stuff. And it talks. You see it in the movie. You'll see flashes of it saying what I want to be when I grow up, and but so it goes through like from the early years, and then it goes through like kindergarten, year 1, year 2, all the way up to year 6, where you were at that time, who were your best friends, like things you learnt, things you did in school. Like, I'd love to make a template of that and put that in the like school curriculum or just for and stuff like that. So I don't know. We're making relationships now with the cool book companies. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll.
And I guess it's just one of those things now where it's like 12 months ago you didn't know you were doing a book, and now you've got a book that's about to be out. So it's like the road just kind of...
who knows?
Just kind of gets weird, and you just got to ride the...
I know, just try and... What do you laugh at? Barney Miller author, that's weird, eh?
Yeah, you got Barney Miller world champion, Barney Miller author, Barney Miller actor. What else have we got going on here?
What?
When you were doing your profile thing, they're like, what's your occupation? You said the first one.
Oh, author.
Yeah, you said
Oh, yeah. I guess it must have been when I was getting a phone contract or something or other, and they asked me questions. They're like, oh, what's your occupation? And I'm like, oh, I'm an author, and he goes,
Your book's not even out,
yeah, I
mate.
know. And he goes, oh wow, that's pretty amazing. Like, would I know any of your books and stuff like that? And I said, oh no, I don't know. And I told him about the book and stuff. And then what was something about and then he goes, oh, what else do you do? And I said, oh, I guess you could say I'm a professional surfer. And he goes, oh, okay. And then his voice,
Like, this guy's full of shit.
yeah, I know, yeah. And he's like, what else do you freaking do, mate? Like, yeah. And so it was, yeah, we were all sort of laughing. Kate was in the kitchen cooking, just pissing herself laughing. And yeah, I was like, okay, I've just overstepped my limit. I'm just Barney Miller now, nothing.
CEO.
CEO.
That's what I always love, like, talking about the whole Instagram world. You see people where they're like, I was talking to my mate about this the other day. They're like, entrepreneur, CEO,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, nah, man, you're just unemployed with an idea.
Yeah.
Like, you've
And
got
like-
an idea of something you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't make you a CEO
Nah,
or an
and-
entrepreneur.
And mate, like this,
You just don't have a job.
this public figure.
Yeah.
Public figure. and
I'm an
stuff.
influencer.
Yeah, influencer. Yeah.
What are you influencing?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh man, it's a funny world, the Instagram.
You need to, yeah. Do you have your bio updated yet to be like author,
Nah, I
CEO?
haven't changed my bio since I first started. Hey?
That's classic, yeah.
But I will now.
Yeah, we need to be like professional surfer, author, influencer, world champion.
Model. No,
Yeah, that's true. Podcaster.
Podcaster. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably a list of shit I could say.
You're just everything. All right, well, what are we at? We're just about at 2 hours. I've really enjoyed talking to you, mate.
You
and
too.
meeting you has been something I've always wanted to do. It's cool that you know people that I know as well, and I didn't know you spent that much time in the States.
Yeah.
So 100% we'll connect.
Oh shit, yeah.
It'd be cool to do a podcast like you and Jesse, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it'd be sick.
Get you in
Whatever.
on
I'll
it.
be excited to do whatever.
Talk conspiracies and shit.
Yeah. Whatever, mate. There'll be plenty more to talk about.
So, in closing, buy the book. What's the title of the book?
The book's called The Essence of You and Me. So
Yep.
it's pretty much all the shit, I don't even know. It's like it's about
I didn't write it. She did.
No, yeah, she's the one. No, it's about all the events. It explains all the events of what turned us into the people that we are today.
Yep.
And which, yeah, the good times, the bad times, and it's really, it's sort of, we go back and forth between our stories. So we do a chapter of me, a chapter of Kate at the same point, and then it's like the worlds collide where when we meet, it turns into one story, and
Yep.
And then we both have comments on different things, and we both sort of go back and forth to each other. So yeah, it's a kind of, it was her idea, but I can't claim anything. But yeah, it's we're really stoked and really proud of what we've done. And we actually were reading through it the other day, and because we just had to go through all the editing and just reading through it, we actually got lost in it because it was like we were reading and we're like, holy shit, that's like our life, like,
Yeah.
and like
You're almost reading it like removed.
yeah, we were removed.
This is a crazy story.
And I'm like, I really like that guy.
That chick's rad.
Yeah, no. So it was really cool to be able to do that and sort of take a step back from it and not toot my own horn, or our own horns, but yeah, it reads pretty well.
Hashtag couple goals.
Yeah, hashtag authors.
All right. Well, so The Essence of You and Me is the book. You can get that wherever people buy books, and audiobook will be coming soon.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And then for the people that haven't seen the movie, we've referenced it a couple of times. That's called You and Me.
Yeah.
I rented it off iTunes last night, so that's probably the easiest place for people to go and get it. That'll give people a little bit more context on your story. I struggle sometimes when I do these podcasts because I feel like I don't want to spend an hour trying to just tell the story. I'd just rather like just talk.
Yeah.
And a few people have been like, oh, you know, you should spend it. And I'm like, oh, I feel like you could see that somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's like for anyone that's confused for how we've jumped around to a million different things, watch the movie and then you'll kind of get the full story. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to do the full story thing of like, tell me about the accident, tell me about this.
Yeah.
Like it's out there. People can find that.
Yeah.
So
Google Barney Miller. You'll probably be annoyed.
Google Barney Miller author, and it'll come up. So, all right, we're going to go eat some lunch in beautiful
Sick.
Burleigh. Thanks,
All right,
mate.
sounds good.
Legend.
All right, thank you. Legend.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, mate.
That was awesome, dude.